Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler are the Ultimate Fighter coaches this year. Can you believe it? Isn't that crazy? It's insane!
UFC President Dana White announced this past Saturday Conor McGregor's comeback this year as a coach on The Ultimate Fighter. The former UFC champion, who has not fought since he sustained a tibia injury against Dustin Poirier in July 2021, will face off against Michael Chandler as coaches for Season 31 of TUF. The competition between Team McGregor and Team Chandler will air from May 30 to August 15. This marks McGregor's second TUF coaching experience, previously coaching against Uriah Faber. Chandler, with a record of 23-8, has been calling for a fight with McGregor for months despite having lost 3 of his last 4 fights, including being submitted by Poirier at UFC 281. Chandler posted a video on his social media saying, "Every single fight matters because we're gonna win this competition, first of all, and we're gonna make the dreams come true of this young athletes." Let's hear it from the man himself.
Bam. It's finally announced. The cat is out the bag. Team Chandler versus Team McGregor, coaching The Ultimate Fighter, heading to Vegas here very soon to film in the same vicinity, the same city as my future opponent later on this year, Conor McGregor. My team versus his team. The competition starts right now, ushering in these young men or women, imparting my wisdom upon them, and every single fight matters because I'm going to win this competition first of all. And we are going to make the dreams come true of one of these young athletes to get signed by the UFC and get a UFC contract. Can't wait. Catch it all on ESPN this summer. God bless. I'll see you at the top.
Apparently, a fight between the two coaches may too be possible later this year, but still a specific date and location have not been set yet. Jake Paul and Dustin Poirier comment on the Ultimate Fighter 31 announcement. In a social media post, Jake Paul encouraged boxing fans to take lessons from MMA fans while also criticizing McGregor and Chandler. He wrote, "Boxing fans should learn from MMA fans to support fighters. McGregor 1-3 in his last 4 fights. Choked out, knocked out. His opponent is 1-3 in his last 4 fights, knocked out and choked out. But it's a massive fight and the fans don't care one bit." Dustin Poirier went for mockery and gave his thought about the two coaches on a Twitter post saying, "TUF All My Children Edition." Dustin also took the time to give his prediction on the outcome of the fight. Let's hear it.
They announced the two TUF coaches today. Give me a prediction in terms of how you see that fight going down when it does happen.
Since you beat both of them, I'm just going to say that, just to make sure everyone understands that.
Either guy can win. I think if Conor comes back with the same timing and speed that he had before the injury, if he comes back to that, he's going to stop Chandler. Chandler's very hittable, covers. Conor's a guy, when you're in front of him, it looks like he can't touch you, but he touches you. He's longer than he looks when he's in there, and he uses his length and speed and timing really well to close that distance. And Chandler's a guy who needs explosive movements to get in and out, you know. And if Conor's timing's the same, I think he hurts Chandler. And it's going to be a 5-round fight. Conor doesn't fight co-mains or 3-round fights. So if Chandler can get in there and maybe get on his legs, get some blood in his arms early, wrestle hard for the first few rounds, maybe it goes different. But if Conor has any similarity to who he used to be before the injury and before the layoff, I think he stops Michael Chandler. He's just too hittable.
Dana White deflects to UFC 284 poor promotion allegations. The MMA world has observed the UFC's aggressive promotion of the Power Slap League and have been complaining about the lack of promotion in events like the UFC 284. Let's see why.
The UFC cares more about Power Slap than it does UFC 284. We go on the UFC's Instagram and go back about 2 weeks to January 22nd, and let's count how many times they promoted UFC 284 versus how many times they promoted Power Slap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's check Power Slap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's no reason why in the past 2 weeks the UFC has posted Power Slap League 2 times more often than some sort of clip promoting UFC 284.
In an Instagram post, Dana White responded to these claims, saying he would make big announcements during a live broadcast this weekend. Later in the day, Dana announced that the UFC had signed Sean O'Malley to an 8-fight contract and that UFC 287 will take place in Miami after a long break from the Sunny City. However, in the comments, he had an interaction with a fan about Power Slap League. The fan said, maybe he'll finally promote 284 instead of slap fighting, and Dana responded, don't count on it. What do you think of this response? Is it enough for the MMA community? Let us know in the comments. Jamahal Hill wouldn't mind knocking out Magomed Ankalaev in his first title defense. The newly crowned UFC light heavyweight champion, Jamahal Hill, is willing to face Magomed Ankalaev in his next fight. His initial title defense was expected to be against former champion Jiri Prochazka. But if Prochazka needs more time to recover, Hill is ready to defend his title against Ankalaev, who feels he was wrongly denied a win in his title fight against Jan Blachowicz at UFC 282. Hill said in an interview with Sportskita, "I'm not just going to sit and just be like, he didn't deserve it. I wouldn't mind knocking him the just for the simple fact that people keep bringing his name up talking to me." Let's hear it from him.
I think that's fair. I mean, that's what it is. He's right there at the top, so he's put himself in position to be considered for those things. You know, I'm not just gonna sit and just be like, oh, he didn't deserve. Like, bro, he's right. He's up at the top. You know, if I'm ready to go and I'm ready to fight, I fight who's available. I think, and that's actually, I wouldn't mind knocking him the fuck out just for the simple fact that people keep bringing his name up, talking to me.
It seemed like Derrick Lewis didn't even try fighters react to UFC Vegas 68. Sergey Spivak achieved his greatest victory to date by easily defeating former heavyweight title contender Derrick Lewis at UFC Vegas 68 this past Saturday. Spivak dominated Lewis in the octagon before submitting him in the first round with an arm triangle. Lewis lost his third consecutive fight and the fourth in his last 5. Spivak has now won 5 consecutive fights and is rising as a potential contender for the currently open heavyweight title. Let's see a little bit of how it went. Here's what other fighters had to say about the UFC Vegas 68 main event. It seemed like Derrick Lewis didn't even try. That was over quickly. Textbook way to exhaust a heavy hitter and force to finish. Spivak unreal. That was a huge statement by Spivak. That's all for today's video. If you want to know the latest UFC news, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, and click the like button so you don't miss any details about the upcoming fights. Thanks for watching. See you soon.